Yes, we're still anticipating the presentation of the 2022 appropriation bill at the National Assembly. In the meantime, we turn our attention to politics, and I'll tell you why. A lot of the deliberations you see at the National Assembly in the committees, a lot of those decisions prior to the deliberations are made within the political parties, because the parties indeed have their strategy, what they promise to people. So it's important to always pay attention to what's happening within the political parties. And we're starting off with the ruling APC this morning. You've followed perhaps from last year when there were issues with the former chairman of the party and the emergence of the extraordinary caretaker committee and the planned convention, but not to forget the ward congress, the local government congresses, and what came out of it. Well, it appears as though a lot of issues are still unresolved in the APC, and we're delving into that this morning. And to do that with us, we have two gentlemen joining us from our Abuja studio. Mr. Ibrahim Modibo is a former member, presidential campaign team of the APC, and right next to him is Mr. Aliyu Audu, who is also a member of the APC. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the program. Well, Mr. Audu, let me begin with you because, you're part of those who perhaps have a grouse with the way things are being conducted within the APC, from the congresses at the ward to the local government. And I understand you have a major issue with the whole consensus arrangement and what's playing out. In the build-up to this convention, which we're yet to know the date, are you worried that something similar will play out in the convention where the process will be undemocratic, as your group has described it?
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning, Nigerians. Yes, like you have rightly said, from what has happened so far, from the ward to local government congresses, we have reason to be concerned as to the undemocratic nature of the processes so far. And in a bid to ensure that same does not repeat itself at the national, convention, where we hope to elect those that will be in charge of day-to-day running of our party, that's the National Working Committee, we would expect that, the idea of consensus be, thrown away and allow for open contest. Consensus isn't in itself very bad or bad at all if done rightly. The Constitution does not, in any way envisage that imposition will be taken for consensus. What we've witnessed from the different states till date, it's parallel congresses, parallel inauguration of ESCOs. This usually, comes from a point where a powerful bloc, a powerful person, or a powerful group within a party, within the state or local government, sit somewhere, write list of those they wish to put in a position and make it binding, on the other members. Consensus isn't imposition. If we have, like we have in some states where we have more than one powerful people, like Akwa Ibom State, Ogun State, Kwara, Osun, many other states, where, who do we go, which of the executive list do we take as official list for those who are, to be charged with the responsibility of running the party at the local government or at the ward level, if the choice of the people is not respected? So what we are basically asking for is that, having learned from all of this, having been part of this process, we are clearly stating that to avoid the same mistakes we've made in the past, so as not to go back to, the chaos that marred the last, tenure of the National Working Committee, we want to have leaders who will be elected at the National Convention by the people. We don't want consensus. We don't want a few people to sit and decide on who to have what. No, let the people decide on who to govern. Let the members of the party decide who should govern them. Because that's the only way we have leaders who respect every member and is respected by every member. When you impose a leader on party members, the chances are that the members won't respect the leader. And that is always, what brings about crisis in our political parties.
To what extent?
And we can't truly call ourselves, a party of progressives if all we do is impose candidates on party position.
So speaking of this imposition, This imposition
You know,
which
so
you
we are
reference,
basically
if you could
saying-
just help us situate or contextualize it properly, to what extent did this happen across, the congresses we have seen at the ward and local government? Are you saying 100% imposition or 50%? To what extent really is this an issue? Has this played out?
It's close to 100%. And I'll tell you why I say this. If people are not complaining, it's because usually, I mean, they are, stifled. They are made to believe that they don't have a voice. I mean, Mr. President has shown in the last almost 2 decades that he's a Democrat. And being a Democrat means internal democracy must be respected. Consensus is one option, as, stated in our Constitution. But what we currently have from the ward to local government Congress is nothing like consensus. Some of us are part of this Congress committee, some of us are part of the appeal committee, and we hear, genuine members of this party come to complain about how their rights are not respected, how their wishes are not respected, how a certain individual sits somewhere and put on, the fact that many people are not talking is because they don't think they have a voice. And that is why we as APC members concerned feel we might just be going back to the same thing we are trying to walk away from, which is a party laden with, crisis. It doesn't matter the number of reconciliation committee you set up. You won't get any result if the right thing that should have been done isn't done.
So let me take this to Mr. Modibo.
Right. You have people who won't give their all to the party.
Pardon me, let me take this to Mr. Modibo, because you have raised major fundamental issues. I mean, in a democratic party, which is the bedrock of democracy, Mr. Modibo, Mr. Lee, you have spoken about imposition instead of consensus, which is enshrined in the APC constitution. He has also referenced stifling of people's opinions. Imagine saying that almost 100% of the elections we have seen at those levels had candidates imposed on the people. I wonder if that's the same feeling you get from where you sit, from your corner of the party.
Well, thank you very much for this wonderful invitation, and I'm happy to be very close to my brother, Mr. Audu, and I also appreciate his views. But under globalization and multiculturalism, such as ours in Nigeria, the issue of consensus as one of the tools of democracy, as one of the concepts of democracy, cannot be overemphasized. In this case, I want to believe that the APC as a political party under the Mala Buni Caretaker Committee is using that instrumentality of democracy, or one of the concepts of democracy, to bring peace, stability, and concord. Either connotative or denotatively, the meaning of consensus presupposes that there is an agreement. People are supposed to sit in sync and in tune with the philosophy of democracy to agree on a fundamental issue, such as elections. When President Muhammadu Buhari came on board, he came with this nationalistic, patriotic and nationalistic desire to put Nigeria on the threshold of democracy based on the tenets of rule of law, and also based on the tenets of democracy where the vote counts. That is why when he came, he had tripodial structure of fighting corruption, taming insecurity, and also fixing the economy. And by the sidelines, open the floodgate for constitutionalism, also allow the rule of law as well as the ability of the people to go out and vote in sync with the philosophy of democracy. Now, having stated this, I am shocked that my brother Audu, who is also a member of the appeal committee in Adamawa in the recent elections, is saying that about almost about 100%. I don't know how it could be 100%. I don't know the methodology he used in arriving at this conclusion. But having stated this, you see, the issue of consensus is one of the tools of democracy, as I've earlier stated. And I believe that this issue of consensus tries to arrive at a destination where people will avoid rancorous situations and also see through the possibility of bringing up candidates that are popular to the rhymes and rhythms of democracy in their various communities. And therefore, to me, I believe that as one of the tools of democracy, as one of the concepts of democracy, the issue of consensus is very, very fundamental. It is used globally. That is why I started by saying under globalization and then multiculturalism such as ours in Nigeria, we cannot overemphasize the issue of consensus. Therefore,
very quick one, just before you go on. Just before you go on, Mr. Modibo, very quick one. You said it's not up to 100%. If you would gauge it, what would be your own percentage gauge?
You see, there could be no parameter to arrive at the conclusive destination on the percentage of this problem. Agreed. APC is not a mosque or a church where we have a leader that leads the congregation and everybody will be in line or in sync with the imam or the pastor. But as a political party that tries to bring people together, the issue of having grudges or having problems cannot be overemphasized. There must be.
Okay.
And therefore, that is the beauty of us having an appeal committee. The APC is as a formidable political party has internal mechanism of conflict resolution. That is why my brother Audu here was part of it, part of the process, especially in Adamawa, where he presided over the appeal of some people that have grudges. So let us assume, without necessarily conceding to the fundamental flaw, as enumerated by Audu, that it's 100%. I don't believe it. There must be semblance of democracy because I believe the Mai Mala Buni administration is out to give this party focus, to give it the necessary, fundamentals of cropping up political leaders, to take care of our democratic culture. But
just a second, so that we can make this a little more exciting. Okay, if we haven't arrived, you haven't given me a percentage figure. Is it 50%, 30%, 20%? Just that figure.
You see, as I've
can you give just give me a figure? Just give me a figure. That for right now.
If I were
yes
to arrive at the destination.
Yes.
I can say yes, agreed. There might be about maybe 20, 25 or maximum of 30%.
Okay, all right. Let me ask Mr. Audu. Let me ask Mr. Audu. Just a second. Let me ask Mr. Audu. Perhaps there is a need, well, you may want to respond to some of the things that he said, but perhaps there is a need for people to even understand the differences between consensus candidacy and imposition.
All right. Consensus candidacy, as enshrined in our constitution as a political party, it's where aspirants or candidates are allowed to purchase form, express interest to run for a particular position. Then, the aspirant contestants, along with stakeholders, in the particular constituency, sit, and agree to back one person where every other person, willingly withdraw from the race, and they come to the contest ground, and it's just a yay, you're all supporting yay this person, and it's easy and simple. We've had that, in the past in some other activities, but in this case, you have a situation where, like he rightly said, I'm a part of the appeal committee, but not Adamawa, but FCT, and I have people who went to Adamawa for Congress election from ward to local government, and they came back. We didn't just stand up to draw the attention of Mr. President, our national leader Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the other leaders of the party, and in fact the generality of the membership of the party, to this serious problem that we are walking into. We are doing this at the back of information from every state. As we speak, the secretary of the caretaker committee state, Akwa Ibom, is in the process of inaugurating 2 parallel executives. We have one led by Apabio, a former governor, and a current minister, and one led by the secretary, Senator John himself. Osho State, that has the governor on the caretaker committee, is the same thing. We have one led by a minister, Arebeshola, on one side, then the one loyal to the governor on the other side. Kwara State is the same thing. Lai Mohammed has his own. The governor Abdulrazak has his own. I can go on and on. FCT here is not any different. Usuma Ward, many other words, even Abuja Municipal Area Council, the Abaji, is the same thing. What I am saying is, imposition is when a few people sit down and make decision for the generality of the membership of the party. Anyone who wants to be a consensus candidate must be a popular candidate. So
okay, but Mr. Adu, let me just bring this, because my apologies on that one. You know, he raised two things. First, he's given his own percentage, which is sharply completely different from the impression you have painted about degradation of that percentage. So are you now on the same page with him, saying, look, it's just about 20-25%?
No, I am not. I mean, if you look through the media, you check for local governments, it might not be at the same, it doesn't have to be for the entire state. You know, you see local government congresses in some local government for some wards, and it's the same thing. You know, like I said, it's almost 100%, but it's way beyond 20, 25, 30%.
But then,
that's clear. People will not speak up because they don't.
Okay, so are you speaking of because lots of people are angry with it, or he alluded to the fact that you were part of some of these committees, so that gives the impression that perhaps you or your group lost out and then you decided to go public?
No. Don't misunderstand what he said. I mean, I did not take part. I didn't aspire for any position. None of my, as a matter of fact, it's not a group per se. These are we are a collection of concerned APC members. We have seen the trend. Many of us have been part of the processes, and we know that we might be sweeping these issues under the carpet. It will come back to haunt us. We've had this in the past where an elected National Working Committee did not see through their term. It was cut short, majorly because we did not put or do the right thing at the right time. If we have a convention where leaders who will run our party are elected freely, fairly, and transparently, the chances are that the leader will respect every member and the leader will be respected by every member. But when you had a certain powerful bloc sit and decide for the party, those who are aggrieved and can't speak up now will later find their voice and start speaking up. That is where you have some powerful people who get into a position to be powerful enough to start using instruments of government against the leaders of this party, which is why part of our prayers in our press conference yesterday is saying that we want the caretaker committee to right now release the date, other arrangements, and make public all the plans for the national convention, so that those who intend to run will start planning to buy their form and start doing consultations, start meeting people so they can run. I mean, for instance, we have an aspirant like Mr. Sylvester Sonny Monidafe, who has been, traveling the length and breadth of this country to, talk to stakeholders and express to them his interest to become the national chairman of the party. Then a certain people sit somewhere after a few weeks and said, next 2 weeks is going to be the convention, and we are zoning it not to a zone, not to a region, but to a particular person. That is not internal democracy. That is not consensus.
Okay, Mr. Audu, let's take this to Mr. Modibo right now. I mean, you've raised some issues. So it's amazing how the terms have changed. Before, it used to be godfathers in political parties, but now it's a powerful bloc, a powerful set of people. Perhaps still the same thing, but different nomenclature. So, Mr. Modibo, I mean, this has been said time and again by members in your party that there's a certain group of people that sit somewhere and make decisions for the party at various levels. I don't know if you're worried about that, but also perhaps what lends credence to that is the fact that the date for the convention has not been released yet. And is that something you're comfortable with, especially because this is a political party? Everybody should be, at least aware of what's going on. Are you comfortable that the dates and some other issues are being kept close to the chest of some people?
Well, I am concerned that the date to the convention has not been released up to this moment we're talking about. I'm an interested party. I want to contest in the forthcoming elections. But let me say, without any fear of contradiction, that APC as a political party does not impose candidates. I want to believe that these young patriotic Nigerians that came up yesterday to do the press conference were people that are concerned about the party. They are concerned about the development of the party. They are concerned about development of democracy. But we should not be in a hurry to do damages to our party in the name of trying to bring corrections. Now, I still believe that there is an open-ended opportunity where we can sit, harmonize issues, especially with the appeal committees. If you are aggrieved, you don't bring down the roof of the house because maybe of your own interest or some of your people's interest that has not been met. I believe a political party is a conglomeration of people of the same focus, the same character, same characterization, and also the same feelings about democracy. So if it is agreed, then as a political party, we should look internally. We should have an internal mechanism of conflict resolution. I strongly believe some of these people that have been able to, come up with this press conference, I saw them yesterday. They were all very young, dynamic, vibrant politicians of tomorrow. I believe that today they are part and parcel of the government because the floodgate of politicking is open to them. And
two issues you've raised.
It's not easy.
Mr. Modibo, pardon me, two issues you have raised. I want to quickly speak to that. On the one hand, you referenced that, they shouldn't bring the roof of the party down. Are you, in essence, saying that what Mr. Audu and others are doing is not right in terms of, internal party mechanism? Are you saying that they should not have come out to voice these concerns? That's one. So if you could quickly answer that so I can follow up with the next.
That's the beauty of democracy. That's the beauty of democracy. You have this fundamental human right of airing your views, and they have done that, and we appreciate what they're doing. We're not saying that it's not a good thing, but we believe that we should do it under the mechanism of conflict resolution which has been set by the party. And this is coming on the heels of him being one of the people that are architects of this internal conflict resolution. He's a member of that conflict resolution committee. Therefore, I believe that he should be able to moderate the views of these party men because they are the people, the engineers, grassroots mobilizers of the party.
But interestingly,
the grassroots mobilizers of the party.
Interestingly,
and therefore we strongly believe that as a political party,
you can land on that. Sorry, I'll put my question in. Please land on that so I can put in the next question.
Yeah. So I believe that as members of the political party, we should give the Mamala Budi administration or the caretaker committee to give us the focus. Because for now, they are almost winding down. This caretaker committee has been able to do a lot. You can see how governors have been flooding in. And I can tell you that very, very soon, PDP is going to implode and more other governors are coming into the party. So the more the merrier. We believe that a political party should have an open door policy. It is not going to be, it's just like a church or a mosque where there's no gate man. And therefore, people should come in. The more the merrier. So let us see how we can work and allow ourselves to dance to the rhythm and rhythm of democracy so that we could have a viable political party that could win election in the next 20, 30 or 40 years to come.
Ironically, Mr. Modibo, the PDP, today, if I could just come in quickly, ironically, the PDP would also say, well, the APC, as we're looking at them, they're about to implode and more of them will come to our party. So, it's something we hear now and then. But you've not addressed another issue that Mr. Audu raised about a powerful bloc within the party. And this is something we have heard time and again. And people will say that there's a certain group of people in your party, the APC, and they get to decide what goes on. For example, perhaps the date, the modality, the candidates to push up and the rest. Do you agree that there's indeed a powerful bloc within the party to begin with?
No, you see, there's a problem. And the problem here had to be underscored by the fact that politicking or political party is all about interest. You see, some of these people that are there, they don't want to leave the stage. Some people that are there are very interested because they have interest. And therefore, the same thing with the young people that have been able to do the press conference yesterday, they're also having interest. So politics is all about interest. And therefore, whosoever feels his interest is not protected will start crying wolf where there's none. I strongly believe that there's no cabal in APC, but I know, as a matter of fact, that there are powerful individuals that are in the political party, we have to agree that if you are joining the party in 2021 or 2020, you could not have the same standing with somebody that started the politicking as far back as 2000 or 2001. He must have made, a concrete arrangement based on party structures. He has a structure on the ground, and therefore you cannot come over. Just within 24 hours and upset that structure.
All right, Mr. Modibo, thank you for that. At least now it's clearer that the difference between power block and powerful individuals. But let me ask you, Mr. Audu, very quickly, unless these issues that you have raised are addressed, for you, what are the implications?
All right. Before I answer this, I quickly want to address something my leader here said about our group being, something about tomorrow. No, we are the future. The future is now. We didn't join APC because we want a one-party state. We didn't join APC because we want a party where all manner of human beings can just be brought in and in the name of numbers. No, we joined because we wanted a progressive-minded party. We sought a progressive-minded party. As a matter of fact, we had started our own assembly before the APC was formed in 2013 from the different legacy parties. I'll tell you for free, I was a member of the APYF, which was formed under the leadership of Ismail Ahmed, who is currently the representing youth in the caretaker committee. That was formed before the merger happened. We want a party that is respected, that runs on ideology. We don't want all manner of... It's not just about the numbers. We want people to be attracted to our party because they align with the ideology of the party, the progressive ideals upon which this party was formed by the foundation fathers. You see, what we have right now is a number of people who want to hang on to power, who want to move from being governors to senators to being chairman who want to be powerful at all times just because they have no plan of their own for the ordinary member, so they don't want to be ordinary members. We want a party where the ordinary member feels as respected and as important as the most powerful member of the party. We are not saying we want... everybody is important. That is all we want. And the only way to ensure that is by ensuring that when leaders are elected, everybody has a say in it. When leaders are are elected, it is done fairly, credibly, and openly.
And that is certainly
the motto
a
of our
good
party
place.
is justice.
That's the bedrock of democracy, and I'm glad, you made that point, and I believe that's a great place to anchor, gentlemen, on this conversation. Certainly an ongoing one. We'll keep our tabs and our eyes, rather, on what's playing out in the APC. But, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Mr. Ibrahim Modibo and Mr. Aliyu Audu, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the program this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Well, we're switching gears to another interesting topic. You definitely don't want to miss this. Stay with us.